Hey, we are live. It's Ringside Report MMA. Tonight on the show, we're previewing UFC Vegas 55, Holm versus Vieira. The Ultimate Fighter Season 30 is going on, and it's GSP's birthday. How about it?
Let's go!
Yeah, indeed. Let's go. Where's AJ? AJ!
Hi, AJ in the house.
Whoa. How do you sound?
What's
does
up,
that
bud?
sound? Is that your mic? Is that my headphones?
What is it now? What are you hearing, man?
Sounds weird.
You sure Freddie's not on?
I don't know. It sounds better now. Maybe it was your mic. How you doing?
Nah, not bad, bud. Not bad. So it's GSP's birthday, man. May 19th.
Yeah. You know how old he is?
Georgie, I'm not sure. How old is he now?
Don't look it up. Stop looking it up.
I'm looking it up. I gotta look. I just saw. I can't. I won't be able to do the math. Oh, I got it. I got it.
How about it?
Georgie's 41, man. If anyone's asking, 41 years old already. Crazy. And you know what? There's still guys fighting in the UFC way older than him.
Yeah, but he's not going to be fighting in the UFC. He's done. His UFC career is over. Right? George's UFC career is done. We're not going to see GSP fight in the UFC ever again. I think he's done. He's waiting out his contract. He might do like a celebrity boxing match at some point. You know, do one of those Triller fights, get paid. I could see him doing that. But I don't think he's ever going to fight MMA again.
Man, we were hoping, man.
Yeah.
For the last couple of like when Khabib was in the house, man, we were like, George is going to do it. He's going to come back. I'm almost confident he's going to come back. He wanted to fight Khabib. Khabib wanted to fight George, man. They talked to Dana. Everything looked good for a while, man, but it never happened. Khabib is gone. George is doing like all kinds of like YouTube videos and Instagram videos and TikTok. Now he's on TikTok. He's a TikTok star now. He's doing all kinds of crazy shit. Man, that's George. But he looks amazing. He looks in better shape now than he did like 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
He's in great shape, 41 years old now. He hasn't fought since 2017. You know, he had a great career. I think he's the greatest welterweight of all time, but Kamaru Usman is making a run for that crown. He's going for it, you know? And I don't think George is ever going to come back and try and take the crown back. I think, you know, his time is done. He realizes that he got out at the right time, healthy and wealthy, as he likes to say. And I think his career is fully over. I think now we can definitely say, but it was a great career. You know, it was a lot of fun. I think just as guys in Montreal that watch so many great GSP fights, it's disappointing that it ended the way that it did. I think you wanted to see George have more fights, right?
Look, I wanted to see George
kind of end it in a different way.
Yeah, man, that's what I keep saying. George versus Khabib would have been incredible. George versus Conor, man, everybody thought that would happen. But maybe we'll see that, like you said, in some celebrity MMA, maybe, you know, kind of fight, boxing. George's boxing is really good. I mean, Conor's boxing is way better, but, you know, I can see that happening. I mean, that's the only thing I can see George coming out of retirement for is something to do with, like, charities.
Yeah, I doubt that. I don't think that...
Come on, Dave, give me some hope, man.
I mean, maybe when they're, you know, in their late 40s, you know, I don't know. Conor's in his mid-30s now, and maybe 5 years when George is in his later 40s. It could happen, some sort of boxing match.
Like Tyson coming out of retirement, you know, that kind of stuff, you know?
But that's not what I
maybe in their 50s.
You know, George is one of the greatest fighters of all time, and it's just disappointing that contracts and championships and promotion got in the way of what could have been a lengthier career. We could have seen him fight more. He could have fought way more.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. But we saw him fight, like, to a point where he was one of the most famous faces in the world. I mean, this guy was plastered all over the world. I mean, I still remember the Japanese prime minister coming out to greet him, saying that his biggest idol was Georges St-Pierre. George gave him a set of, like, MMA gloves that were signed, and the prime minister of Japan was like, freaking out. I mean, this guy used to have like motorcades when he used to go down to Philippines. I mean, it was ridiculous. You know, he was known all over the world. He was like on Times Square on like on those billboards. He was like the face of like Gatorade. He was the face of everything, man. George was famous. I remember in Italy they were like Georges St-Pierre, which was kind of interesting, where he was becoming so recognized around the world, but yet here in Quebec, he still wasn't like that big of a like star. It was weird. It was a weird time here in Quebec. You remember those days, Dave?
Yeah.
It was weird, man.
Yeah, it was weird. I still don't think that George is given his due enough here.
I mean, look, they gave him out a statue in Saint Isidore. If everybody wants to take a trip down to Saint Isidore, if you're not from Montreal, you want to come to Quebec, listen, go to the Orange Julep, go get a smoked meat at Schwartz, and then drive over to Saint Isidore to see George's statue. That kind of looks like President Obama. That's just my thing. If you don't believe me, look it up. But all to say is that George, you're right. He still gets recognition. He goes to the hockey games. He's like, la vedette. He goes wherever. But still, we still need something for George, like a St. George Day, Like near my house, there's that there's a Georges St-Pierre park, right? So everybody thinks it's Georges St-Pierre.
Yeah, but that's not him.
X-name. I know it's not him, but everybody thinks it's him. Just turn it into him. Point final. Because he used to be at MDG a lot.
Can you hear me all right?
I hear you perfect,
man. You sound way too loud in my headphones. I don't know what is going on here.
Man. No. You sound good to me on my end.
I can't hear you, and I'm way too loud. I'm having all kinds of problems. We put in new equipment, and I don't understand how the hell it's working right now.
Well, Angelo's saying I'm very loud. That's typically me.
Yeah, you're very loud to him. To the broadcast, you're loud, but to me, I can barely hear you. And when I turn up my headphones, I can't. I'm too loud in my own headphones. So we got to fix that.
Angelo, tell us where we are. But the thing is that there's new tech in house, man.
My goddamn lights are too bright here. I don't know what the hell's going on.
You look good, bud.
No.
You look good. But you know what? All to say, man, George has done so much, man, for the game. All over the world. He's so respected, man. I still remember him in the day to come out with his jiu-jitsu gi, and he would come out and people would be flipping out. Just like Dave. Dave is flipping out now. He's gonna flip out on the production team. I know it. I could see it, man. And don't get Angelo upset, man, because Dave is gonna be like, I had enough of this shit. I quit.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds weird to me. It sounds really weird to me. I'm having headphone problems, so I can't really concentrate. But you know what the funny thing is that I hear you clear, man. Yeah,
super
I know.
clear.
I sound good to
and not loud
whatever,
at all.
But in my headphones, I sound way too loud, and you're coming in real soft, so it sounds weird to me.
They'll fix it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just keep going because, on our end, I think Angelo give us a shout out or whoever, just to let us know if we're okay. And if anyone's asking where Freddie is celebrating
Fred?
with George's birthday, man.
Yeah, Fred and Fred's girlfriend and Georges St-Pierre have the same birthday. How about that?
Happy birthday, man. So they're all out celebrating. So me and Dave didn't get invited to George's private party, but Freddie did. Well, Freddie doesn't get invited to some MMA events, but we don't know how this happened, man. Him and George, man, they're good buddies. Me and Dave, he doesn't like us so much.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. We didn't.
I know what I'm talking about.
Georges St-Pierre's personal birthday party. I wonder if he's having a birthday party. You think George is having a birthday party?
Man, 100%. You don't think George
is 41?
Dude, he is exactly. He's 41 years old, man. He's super young, and he's relatively young, and he's 41 years old. He's from Quebec. The guy was partying like a rock star before. You know that. There's pics to prove it. I guarantee you he's out with his buddies tonight, man. They're partying. He might not be in Montreal, mind you, but he's somewhere partying. And good for him, man. Happy birthday, George. You deserve it. You want to see a couple of facts or want to hear a couple of facts that I pulled out?
No.
Come on, Dave.
What? About George?
So listen to this.
I'm kind of over talking about George. I want to get to some other stuff.
What? I was going to tell you, he has a record in his high school.
Birthday. He had a fight 5 years ago. It's over. What are you going to do? It's just disappointing. I wanted to see him fight Khabib. I wanted to see him fight Conor. I wanted to see him fight all these guys. I wanted to see him in big money fights with the UFC, and it just never happened because the UFC didn't want it to happen.
But let's think about it. Do you think, honestly speaking, okay, that he would have had a chance against Khabib? His takedowns were phenomenal.
Yeah.
George has some of the best takedowns in the game. You know, Olympic level wrestling, man. You know, that's the problem.
I think he would have had a really good shot against Khabib. Why? You don't think he would have had a shot against Khabib? What are you saying?
I think Khabib's stand-up was so impressive when he fought Ali Alquenta. I remember that fight where I'm like, holy shit, man. Khabib really, like, kicked up his striking game. It was amazing, man. And he only got better. That's the thing. When it comes to the ground, man, I mean, the guy is the master of all masters. So I don't think George would have been able to keep top control on Khabib, but I think Khabib would have been able to keep top control on George. And that's where the problem lies. And just as good as he was in his grappling game, I think when George would try to scramble, and we were just talking about, you know, your jiu-jitsu game, I don't know, man. I'm thinking Khabib would have been able to submit George.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. I think George had a better stand-up game. See, this is why I wanted to see the fight, because I think it's up for debate, and it would have been an interesting fight, and I think George has...
Wish to join you.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Who wants to join us? Georgie?
My boy Sandro became a member. Thank you, Sandro, for becoming a member.
I don't know, Dave. Man, come on, let's be honest.
I don't know. I think you're underestimating the skills of GSP. I think he had the wrestling to deal with Khabib. I wanted to see that fight, but we're never going to see it. Shout out to my man, Alice Shanks. Sandro, who's like a friend of mine. I know that guy. Shout out to him for becoming a member. You know Sandro. You met Sandro. Shout out to Angelo Contagonis, who's a member as well. Join.ringsidereport.net. Support the channel. Help us get new equipment like we did.
Oh, shit. Angelo's going to be 42, man.
Huh?
Angelo's going to be 42 next
AJ.
Thursday.
That's the problem. We got new equipment now. I can't hear you for shit.
Fantastic.
I was going to say...
Fantastic.
Yeah, well, fantastic to you, but not fantastic to Dave. I was going to say that Angelo is going to be 42 years old next Thursday.
Oh, your mic just went to crap.
Did it again?
Your mic.
Fantastic.
Oh, my God. You got like a dollar store mic. Antoinette just
what are you talking about, man? It was working perfectly fine.
You got to sound good for the members, AJ. You sound like crap. That's your mic.
Hey,
now
listen,
it's your
man,
mic.
Don't pull that shit on me, man. That was your stuff that wasn't working before, so it could be exactly that.
No, it's your your mic.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're better.
How's
now.
that?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, let's leave it like that. I was gonna say Angelo's gonna turn 42 next Thursday, man. He's up there. He's up at the George level.
Yeah. All right.
That's it, man. Angelo, don't worry, bud. I got you.
I don't
Well,
know,
you should
man.
say next Thursday we're gonna celebrate Angelo's birthday, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, next
Jesus,
Thursday will be
Dave.
Angelo's birthday. Happy birthday, Angelo. I don't know.
And we'll bring out some stats about Angelo. You know, if you know whatever Angelo, man, has big bucks. You know.
I always wanted to see Angelo fight Khabib too. I think that was a missed opportunity. You know, would have been great.
Well, let me tell you, man.
Angelo would have given him a run for his money. Come on,
don't mess with the Spartans, man. Don't mess with Greek Spartans, man.
Yeah, exactly, man. I believe in Angelo. Khabib would have been tough. Khabib is a tough fight for anybody, though, for sure. For George,
listen, Dave,
for Angelo, for you, anybody.
Dave, yeah, and you know what? You're right about, you know, it would have been amazing to see, but I probably, if the time came for those two to fight, you know, Khabib, in my opinion, is probably the best fighter that the UFC's ever had. He's the greatest of all time, man. He's the greatest.
Yeah, I think that's George.
I think that's Khabib, man.
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree because we'll never actually see the fight, so who cares? Right? It'll never actually happen,
I care,
so it
man.
doesn't matter.
But
yeah, you care. Well, you told me that I was crazy last week. You said, "Oh, Dave, you're crazy. How could you pick Andre Petrovsky? He's the biggest underdog on the card. He's fighting this guy, Nick Maximov, who's a Diaz brother prodigy, and he's going to win." And oh, now Angelo's saying he can barely hear me? Can you hear me?
I hear you. I hear you perfect, man.
What the hell? Can anybody hear me? Angelo saying he could barely hear me. That is not... What is going on right now? What is happening?
I don't know, but
You know, you put in new equipment and then this is what happens. You can't
now I hear
Dave
you
anymore. You hear me?
That's it, man.
It's
I hear you good,
now
man.
It's like overmodulated and my headphones sounds all weird. Oh,
No, I hear you. I hear you louder, but
yeah,
man, I gotta give you credit with the Petrosky, man. I didn't think that was gonna happen. I did not think that was gonna happen, man.
Yeah, you choked him out in what, the first round? Didn't
First
last?
round, dude.
It was like 2 minutes.
First round submission by an anaconda choke, and you're talking with a Nate Diaz teammate. He's the superstar of the Diaz team, man. And you know what? I forgot what team that Petrosky came from. He's from the Renzo Gracie team, man, from Philly, where all those fighters coming out of there. Pat Sabatini, man, a rising welterweight. You know, all these guys are 4-0, 2-0, 5-0 in the UFC. Man, they're all Renzo Gracie guys, man. Dave, you called it, man.
Yeah, well, Petrosky's a good wrestler. He's got good grappling, and he threw in that choke and choked him out.
You know what? Nice. I didn't do enough research. I didn't do enough research on Petrosky. You know, but man, did this guy deliver. And a beautiful choke as well, man.
Now I'm popping out. I'm like, too loud. In my headphones, I'm like popping. I'm like over-modulated in my headphones. Do I sound weird to you? Like, in my headphone, I sounded really weird. What is going on? Why?
On my end, you sound like super clear,
no,
man.
I'm over-modulated. Something is fucked. Oh, it's really hard to do it like this, to be honest.
Did you guys just start with this equipment with us? You didn't do it on the wrestling show?
No, this is the first one.
Great.
And it's
Great. Here we go. Well, you know what? You got to test it. You know, if it's not with us, it's going to be with Johnny. You know.
Yeah.
And Johnny talks really, really like calm and. You know,
yeah, I don't know. It sounded really weird to me. Like it's. Anyways, I guess we'll move on.
But dude, you know what? Let's move on, man. You guys won your parlay last week. You made money for people, where I lost, man.
No, I lost my parlay too.
On who?
I don't know. I picked somebody that lost, and it fucked me over. Alan Patrick, I think. I think we took Alan Patrick to beat Michael Johnson, and then Michael Johnson won.
Yes, that's right, man.
That's what screwed up my parlay last week.
Unfortunately. And I was saying, like, he was going to moonwalk his way out of the ring, man.
Gave you Petrosky as a big underdog. Gave you Caitlin Chukagian as the lock of the night. She got a split decision win over Amanda Ribas. Didn't seem like a lock when the fight was going on, but hey, in the end, she got the win, so you won if you went with the lock of the night with Caitlin Chukagian. I also went with Aleksandar Rakic. That also busted on my parlay. Jan Blachowicz getting the win there. It was an interesting fight.
I almost won on the main event. You know what made me lose was the Jake Hadley fight when Alan Nascimento beat him. That was the only loss for me. Or else I would have pulled off the parlay, man. I got everybody else.
Well,
I had Jan. I had Ryan Spann.
Yeah. Patrick C. Hamilton says you lost with Patrick. Yeah, Alan Patrick.
I lied.
Huh?
I lied, man. I had Rakic, and so did Freddie. I'm just looking at our call, man. So the magic rope came out again, but the magic tendon snapped. So that was really painful to watch, man.
Yeah, really Rakic's knee just kind of buckled out on him, and he tore something in his knee, got all busted up, couldn't fight anymore in the third round. The fight was looking good, though. I had Rakic by decision. Rakic was looking all right, but Jan was throwing those leg kicks. Apparently it was an injury that Rakic suffered in training, and it popped up again in the fight, and even worse. And that was the end for Aleksandar Rakic, and Jan Blachowicz comes back after losing the championship with a win over a top-ranked contender. Glover Teixeira told him to get the win, and he would get the win over Jiří Procházka, and then they'd fight each other in a rematch. So we're halfway there. Jan Blachowicz with the win over Rakic. Now, if Glover Teixeira does beat Jiří Procházka, I think the UFC might do Glover versus Jan, too. Why not?
You know what? Jan looked good too, man, in that fight. He was just sticking to the game. Like, you don't get to see that a lot, and it's true. There's a lot of commentary about his secret weapon, which was that low leg kick, and that low leg kick was just continuously on the mark. And he said something on his post-fight interview. He says, you know what? Rakic is so tall that the way he stands made it easy for me to connect that low kick, and obviously you saw the result of that. When he stepped back and that knee popped out, I mean, I've had a similar kind of leg injury, so I know that feeling when that, and Freddie knows, I don't know to the extent, but I know when it pops out like that, it's an injury that stays you with for life, and that's my thing with my knee. But man, it's a horrible feeling when you don't have a leg to stand on. And when he fell back, Rakic, you could see his face, it's like, oh man, it's over, man, I'm fucked. And it's unfortunate because he was looking good, but man, it reminded me, as soon as he fell back and he made that face of like, the pain that hit, and then the bewilderment, just being like totally like lost in where he was, it kind of reminded me of, like I told you, Pat Cote when he fought like Anderson. It was like that same step back, knee popped down, and he's on his back. And Anderson was just like, okay, I won. But to be honest, just going back to the Cote versus Anderson fight, that was the first time Anderson went to the latter rounds. He's never been brought to the third round, never in his career. Pat Cote, Dave, you can say what you want.
No, I know, but you're just so BTT till you die. You just can't help it.
But no, it's not that. I'm just comparing
Come on, bro.
it.
Yes, it is.
It's the same fight.
I know, but you're rehashing a Pat Cote fight from, 15 years ago now? Like, I get it.
Hey, listen.
I get it. He's a hero. I'm not saying anything negative about Pat Cote. The man is a hero. I love him. He fought Anderson Silva. He's one of the greatest MMA fighters to ever come out of this country. But you just you can't get over it. You can't get over it. I love it.
I just
BTT. Fabio Holanda.
But it's not only about that, man. It's just the fact of it's a shitty way to lose because looking back 15 years ago, Pat was starting to look good. He was dropping some heavy hits. I mean, it's just one of those fights where you're like, shit, man, it sucks to lose that way. Rakic, it sucks to lose that way because this injury is going to take him off for at least 6 months to recover. Is he going to be able to come back with an injury like that? Sometimes it's like, like even Conor, like coming back, like anytime
Thiago Santos. Look at Thiago Santos. Remember after the Jon Jones fight, he came back. He's never really been the same after the knee injury. Man. But Georges St-Pierre came back better than ever after knee injuries, after tearing his ACL. He came back better than ever, but that's Superman,
Yeah, but he didn't pop it like that in a fight, man. Like, it was just different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It was just, it's just a weird way to go psychologically too. It's sometimes in the back of your head, man. Every time you take a step back, is it gonna pop? Like even Conor coming back. If you're looking at Conor, I mean, the guy looks phenomenal. The guy looks like a monster. He's in such great shape. Like someone was saying, there's no way Conor's going to be able to get back to 155. He is not going to be able to get to 155. There's no doubt about it that he wants a fight with Usman. That's the fight he wants. He's beefed up. But the thing is that can his legs sustain the next fight against anybody? But Dave, I know, man. I know, bud. That's what he wants.
Kamaru Usman?
Yes, sir. Conor's calling it out like crazy lately. And that's what's going to happen. Hey, man.
What is he, crazy? Does he have a death wish?
Is Conor crazy? Damn right he's crazy.
He is crazy.
Listen, man.
I hope he doesn't really want that. I hope that's not real.
No, he wants that.
Does he really, though? Because if he does, he's really crazy.
He wants to take the belt at that division. He says, I've already got the belt at 155. I need to move up. And he has no choice. His body weight, man. I mean, take a look. If you can pull up a photo of Conor now.
Come on.
He looks phenomenal, man. He's so jacked.
Do you think at any point in Kamaru Usman's life he could have competed at 145 pounds like Conor did? I don't think so. He's so big. Like, Kamaru is a 170-pound fighter. Conor inflated can make 170, but he's not a welterweight. It doesn't make sense. And he doesn't have the wrestling to deal with Kamaru. That would be a mauling. He would get demolished. It wouldn't even be close. You got to have an idea of who you are and what your limits are. I guess some of these guys, they're fighting professionally and they're living wild lives, so maybe they have no concept of, the ceiling, but goddamn, Conor, that's a crazy even
Dave.
some guys realize, like, hey, maybe I don't want to fight Francis Ngannou because I'm 145 pounds. Not Conor. Conor's like, screw it, I'll put on weight, I'll make 210 pounds, and I'll fight Ngannou. He doesn't care. But he get killed. Sometimes somebody's got to tell you, hey, man, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Look, man, Conor's been insulting him, saying that his wrestling is sloppy. I mean, like I'm telling you, man, he's instigating for a fight. He wants to go that way. And it's interesting because we're talking about George, but George earlier today, man, brought out something that he says, what was his actual headline? His headline was, UFC legend Georges St-Pierre details the strategy he would have used to defeat Usman. So he's talking here about how he can defeat Usman. I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of Usman talk lately. Conor wants a piece of that, and I'm telling you, it might happen. It might happen.
Well, I think the UFC should be sued for some kind of promotional malpractice if that happens, because it's ridiculous. Because it's a ridiculous fight, especially considering the savages at 170 pounds knocking at the door of a title shot. For Conor McGregor to come off like several straight losses. When's the last time he won a fight? Donald Cerrone?
Yeah, with a knockout.
Come on, yeah, but that's Donald Cerrone, and then before that, it'd been a while. Conor hasn't beat anybody legit. He's coming off 2 straight losses to Dustin Poirier. You're going to move up to 170 pounds and get a title shot after that? I don't think so. If the UFC did that, they would be really just crazy. It would be nuts. Maybe as a stretch, you give Conor Oliveira for the 155 title. Like, that's even a stretch because Conor's lost 2 straight. That's a
Conor
stretch.
can go down to 155, Dave, man. Like, lately, man, you can, with his size now, I can't see that happening.
Well, then he should retire because 170 is ridiculous.
Retiring, man. Listen,
because
man, there's something interesting that George said.
Against Usman, Conor against Khamzat, Conor against Gilbert Burns, Conor against Vicente Luque, Conor against a number of guys at 170 pounds. He gets squashed like a bug. Come on,
man. You
Size
know what? I'm going to tell you something. George brought up a good point. I don't know if it does matter. We were talking about that earlier. It's true. Size does matter. But the thing is that George says something here that's quite interesting. He says that where someone seems stronger than everybody, that's when you need to attack, because sometimes the strength gets transformed into a weak link. Here it is. Because you never know how he fights on his back. No one has ever exposed Usman there. Mm-hmm. So there are guys that are very, very good wrestlers, but once they're on their back, they've never been there, so you don't know how they'll react. And that's a good point. No one's ever put Usman on his back. The time that someone does, that's going to be interesting. And I agree with him there, man.
Don't you think Colby Covington tried? I mean, he's a pretty good wrestler.
Colby tried. He is, man, but no one's actually got him on that side.
Sure.
Where in jiu-jitsu, it's not a vulnerable side. But the thing is that, that's a good point by George. I mean, look, I don't think Conor has the strength to keep.
Is it a good point by George?
I don't know.
Now, I got a lot of respect for George.
I think so.
Okay, I think he's the greatest fighter of all time. You said it was Khabib, but I disagree. I got a lot of respect for George, but I don't think that's such a great point because I think in MMA, usually, I'd say 8 times out of 10, if you put your opponent on their back, you're winning the fight. It's a good job for you. You're doing well. You know what I mean? Like, that's not such a great point for George because he's saying, hey, put Kamaru Usman on his back. That's good. Well, it's like, yeah, no shit. How about put anybody on there? How about put you on your back, George? Because if you're on your back and I'm on top of you, yeah, you might throw up an armbar and I might get in trouble. But if I defend that armbar, I'm cool. So I'd say, yes, good point, George, but obvious point, in MMA, it is advantageous to take your opponent down and put them on their back. If they have an especially good guard, be mindful of that and try to pass it and punch them in the face. Right? Isn't that kind of the name of the game? Like, yeah, okay, put Usman on his back because he's a wrestler and he's got good stand-up. Makes sense. What's his guard like? Put him on his back. But easier said than done. And also, I think, unless you're fighting Ryan Hall or Mackenzie Dern or somebody like that, put them on their back is usually a good strategy for anybody.
Look, man, we saw that with Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva, man. Anderson Silva on his back won in that fight. But you know what? We've never seen Usman on his back. George has a good point, man. That can be maybe the Achilles to Usman. Somebody's got to try that strategy. Someone's got to try to get him on his back and see where that goes. We'll see. What's this? AJ, yeah.
AJ, your microphone sucks.
Yeah, Lauren says, yeah.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for pointing that out. AJ, you need a better microphone, and maybe Patrick C. Hamilton super chat, the 777 from Patrick, will go to a new microphone for AJ. I know I was sent a suggested microphone for the team, and let me see how much this is going to cost. $75. God.
Spend it, big bucks, man. You're like Elon Musk now, man. You're rocking early.
Right. I'm like the opposite of Elon Musk in that I don't post offensive things and I don't have billions of dollars. Like, I'm broke and I'm not an offensive guy. And I don't own Twitter or Tesla or anything. I couldn't even buy a Tesla, let alone own Tesla. You know what I mean? Fuck out of here.
Listen, man, I got good
Harold
news for you.
Schneider.
Listen.
Harold Schneider dropping super chats. $1.99 with a microphone, and then $10 for new mic fund. We're actually getting pretty close to the new mic here for AJ. So I got this thing. It's $75. It's a Jabroni Evolve microphone, and I'm going to try and get it to evolve this Jabroni. I want to evolve my Jabroni, AJ, and it's a Jabroni Evolve microphone. Whoa!
Listen, man.
There we go.
Usually it's Freddie that has the bad mic. I don't know, man. I'm just saying.
Well, I think I'm actually going to need $75 times 2 to get one for you and one for Fred, to be honest, to fix both of your mics. Just Fred's not here right now. But yeah,
Freddie's with George, man. Partying away, man. Freddie's with George.
What about me? What about Dave? Okay, what are we doing here? There's fights on Saturday. Let's give you some selections. You know why? Actually, you know what? Before that, I want to talk about Ultimate Fighter for a second. You know why I knew Andre Petrosky was going to win last week, AJ?
No, why?
Because I watched him on the last season of The Ultimate Fighter, and I knew a lot about him. I knew how he fought. That's why I knew his game, and I was very comfortable picking him to beat that Diaz brother guy last week. And I really like The Ultimate Fighter, and I feel like the new season has flown under the radar. I'm a fan of the show, and I didn't even know that the show had returned. They're 3 episodes in. Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes are coaching, gearing up for their rematch this summer. And I like it. I like The Ultimate Fighter. They've got an interesting setup. I think it's female strawweights and male heavyweights all in a house together.
Wow.
So four men and 4 women on each team. And, yeah, I started watching it, and I like it. And especially heavyweights. You know, if you could win a tournament like The Ultimate Fighter, you might have a decent run in the UFC. Heavyweights, it's always good to see new heavyweight prospects. And women strawweights as well. Very active divisions that are always looking for some new talent. So, new season of The Ultimate Fighter is going on. Juliana Pena, Amanda Nunes. I watched the first episode, and Team Pena won. No surprise. Team Pena is going to win again this summer. I cannot wait. I know my man Patrick won with me on Juliana Pena, and we're going to win again on Juliana Pena this summer, Patrick. I've picked all the big upsets in the women's title fights this year. I told you Esparza over Namajunas, and I told you Nunes was going down to Juliana Pena, and they both came through. And I believe that Juliana's going to go down, Amanda's going to go down to Juliana again. Patrick saying in a super chat, interesting point. He says, time for Conor, Diaz brothers, and Bones to exit. Now, I think Conor maybe has a fight or 2 left. I think the Diaz brothers are pretty much done. Nate might fight again in the UFC.
Yeah, I think so.
He might fight again in the UFC. I think Nick is done. Although you
I'm not
never
sure,
know
man.
with that guy. He might do
I
one
think he
more.
has one. Yeah,
He does,
has
I
one.
think, have another one on his contract. But I think Patrick is right in a way. Like Conor and the Diaz brothers, they're no longer relevant in their respective divisions as far as being
relevant
champions.
in money making.
Money making, sure, they're stars.
Yeah.
But as far as being a champion in the UFC, I think that time has passed for those guys and them being in title contention. But Jon Jones, Jon Jones is a different story. Jon Jones is a big question mark for me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does against Stipe Miocic. And past that, I'm really looking forward to seeing if he fights again after Stipe and who he fights and how that fight goes. I really want to see Jon Jones against the top 5 at heavyweight, and I think Stipe is a good first test, but I also think that Stipe is like 40, 41 years old, kind of on the, end of his career, and it seems like a good matchup for Jon Jones to come in and be impressive at heavyweight, and that's what I think we're going to see. I don't think that it's going to be a close fight. I think Jon Jones is going to come in and stop Stipe Miocic. And people are going to remember that it's Johnny Bones Jones. And I think that guys like, Patrick's saying it's time for Bones to exit. And I think a lot of people are saying, well, Jones, he's kind of in the news. His name is thrown about, but he hasn't really fought. And is he still that guy? And I think at heavyweight, I think he's doing the right things. And he's going to come back. And he's going to impress a lot of people. I really do. There's something about Jon Jones that when you think there's no way he's going to do this, he does it. Like he is, you talked about Khabib, Georges St-Pierre. Jon Jones might be the greatest fighter of all time. Undefeated.
Well, easy, Dave.
What do you mean easy? Who beat him? Who touched him? This guy beat everybody, ran through everybody. And if not for the outside of the cage issues that people have with Jon Jones, I don't even think it would be a debate as to who the greatest fighter of all time is. Seriously. If you take away all the stuff that Jon Jones, if you take away his personality and who he is as a man, and you just look at the fighter, hard to say he's not the greatest ever. It's hard to say.
I'm going to tell you something. You got a point there. You said one thing right on that. When he fights Stipe, depending on the outcome of that fight, is going to depend the future of Jon Jones. If he fights and loses, that's the end of him, man. At heavyweight, we won't see him fighting a top 5. If we see him losing and it's a hell of a fight and it's just so close and it's like maybe we'll see something. Jones, this is a desperate win, man. He needs to win at all costs to stay relevant, to be like the name Jon Jones. But we haven't seen him fight in years, and the only things we know about Jon Jones is his controversy. Nothing but controversy. And that's why when you say he's like the greatest fighter, I don't know about being the greatest fighter. I mean, he's definitely one of the top 10 fighters of all time, the top 5 fighters of all time. I'll give you that. But, man, this is a different game. You're going into heavyweight. He's not going to have that speed or that quickness that he had at light heavyweight. Dude, he's going up against some heavyweights that are able to grind him up against the octagon and be able to hold him down. You're talking about Stipe, man. Stipe, man, holy smokes. It's not going to be an easy fight, regardless if he's 41 years old or not. That's Stipe, man. This guy
is Jon Jones. You always underestimate Jon Jones, AJ. So now having this conversation with you, I realize, it's just AJ saying his AJ things because, you always pick against Jon Jones. Thank you to Grimskull. Shout out to Grimskull. Check out Grimskull's YouTube channel. Grimskull has an awesome YouTube channel, really informative stuff. Shout out Grimskull. He says belated congrats on the new addition to the family. Just great stuff. Check it out, AJ. Don't worry about it. Check out Grimskull.
What's the topics?
Grimskull's YouTube. Well, a lot of production stuff, how to do YouTube, how to do computer software things.
He'll know what mics they get for a show.
Of course he does. Of course. And I'm sure, he knows all that stuff. And thank you to Grimskull for helping us out on the Ringside Report Network, supporting the network. and dropping a super chat as well. Appreciate you. AJ, you always pick against Jon Jones. You do not believe in Jon Jones. Graphic design stuff, pixel plushing on the Grim Skull channel. So check him out. YouTube.com/Grim Skull. Really good stuff if you're into graphic design, pixel stuff, and just how to do these types of things that you need to do. Graphics.
That's it, man.
A lot of the graphics that you see here
that's the way you do it.
on the Ringside Report Network. So thank you,
It's from
Grim Skull.
Wow.
Good
job, bud. Good job. Tell me, bud.
I think you're underestimating Jon Jones, and I think when he comes back, he's going to do real well against Stipe, and I look forward to it. So. And I think not only is he going to beat Stipe, he's going to finish Stipe, and then he's going to go on, and he's going to fight whoever for the heavyweight title. He's going to beat that guy, Francis Ngannou, Cyril Gane. It doesn't matter. He's going to beat them because he's got the skills. He's got all the skills. He's one of the most well-rounded mixed martial artists in the history of the game. He's got so many tricks. He's very crafty. The way he kicks, the way he uses his elbows, the way he controls the distance. I don't think that there's ever been an MMA fighter in the history of the game that has ever controlled the distance like Jon Jones. No one has used reach and length better than Jon Jones. No one ever. And yes, does he have part of that game? Is it, sticking his hands on your head and maybe poking you in the eye a couple of times when he keeps you at distance, right? Because Jones likes to do that shit where he kind of like you come forward and he holds your head, and then you kind of slip and his finger goes right in your eye, right? He's eye poked.
That club.
What?
Kind of sounds like the stripper that he got.
All right, take it easy. I'm trying to talk about technique and how he fights, and you're just talking shit.
I'm going to tell you the technique that he's going to get. He's going to get pounded in the heavyweight division. That's the only technique he's going to get. The
Not
technique
by Stipe.
Is Band-Aid. Listen, man, you're underestimating Stipe. Former champion, Modelo spokesperson.
You're underestimating Jon Jones. You took Gustafsson to beat him.
Come on.
You took Gustafsson.
You know what? I'm going to get mad on that because and I know their first fight, Gustafsson should have won that. Everybody was.
No, you're crazy.
Yes, Dave. No.
I was in the building, okay? I was in the building for that fight, okay?
You were too busy eating your hot dog and popcorn because you missed that fight, man. Because let's be honest, man.
I think I was really high. I think I was just incredibly high. I took an edible. I was really just baked out of my mind for that fight. But I remember it. I was conscious, all right? I was aware.
Is that where you got the hat from him?
No, the hat I got from the Shogun fight in Jersey.
That's a different Jon Jones time, man. I was impressed with that fight.
Man, I saw Jon Jones in his prime, and I think that's one of the reasons why I am such a big fan and believer in Jon Jones, is that I was at some of these fights that were so amazing where he just looked like the greatest fighter I've ever seen in my life. I was at the fight where he demolished Shogun. I was at the fight where he beat Vitor. I was at the fight where he beat Gustafsson. I was at the fight where he choked out Machida and then dropped him with that guillotine. I've seen Jon Jones just smash legends, and I've never seen him beat.
Wait.
I've never seen him beat. I've seen him tested, but never beat. And you can say, Gustafsson beat him, Dominic Reyes beat him, except they didn't, because if you look at what the judges scored, and in this sport, it doesn't matter how you score the fight, it matters who wins and who loses, and at the end of the day, the W on the record is Jon Jones. Right? I mean,
listen,
you can disagree, but the fact remains he won. You know what I mean?
Look, I only disagree with one thing. If Vito Belfort would have broken Jon Jones' arm in that fight, where he let go because he heard the snap, crackle, and pop, if he would have continued, he would have won that fight. Am I correct, Dave? You know that to be true, man.
No.
Come on, Dave. Say it, man. He had his arm broken, man.
He popped out of the armbar.
If he wasn't such a nice guy, and he was saying, I
was like 10 feet away.
He was religious.
Okay, I was 10 feet away from this armbar, okay?
Let me drink my I need a drink, man.
Vitor threw the armbar up. He had Jones' arm hyperextended. He hurt him. Jones knew he was in trouble. He did not tap. His arm got hurt, got injured. I don't think he was on coke during the fight, AJ.
I think
his arm for sure hyperextended. Look, I'll give it to you. His arm hyperextended, but he popped out. He kept fighting, and he was able to put an Americana on Vitor Belfort in, I think, the 4th round and make him tap out. Vitor tapped. Jon Jones did not. And you could say, oh, the armbar was tight. Yeah, the armbar was tight. But guess what? He slipped out of it. He kept fighting, and he showed up to the press conference with his arm in a sling. His arm got fucked up. He got hurt. I'm not saying it didn't hurt. I'm not saying he wasn't injured. He was injured, but sometimes in fights, you get injured, you escape, you keep fighting, and you find a way to win. And that's why he's the greatest ever, because he found a way to win. For you to take the win away from him because he got hurt in an arm lock that was pretty tight and managed to slip out, like, that doesn't make sense to me. You just want to take the wins away from him, AJ. Just like everybody else wants to say that he's not the greatest fighter of all time. We all want to take it away from him because of the person that he is. But unfortunately, again, the facts remain. He's undefeated. He beat legend after legend in his prime. And he, as at this point, greatest light heavyweight of all time by a long shot, not even close. No one's even in the conversation when you're talking about greatest light heavyweight of all time, and probably the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. Everybody likes to say, well, Khabib, because Khabib retired undefeated. Well, Jon Jones defended the title way more times. He's also undefeated, and I think if you look at the list of guys that Jon Jones beat, I think he's got way more Hall of Famers on his list than Khabib does. I'm telling you. When people forget about the drinking and driving and about all the bullshit that he did in 20, 30, 40 years, and people just look at the numbers and the accomplishments, people are going to say, all the bullshit, people will forget about that stuff because in the end, people in 30, 40 years that look back on the sport will just look at the stats, and the stats will say, wow, Jon Jones might be the best ever. It's just the stats. That's all that remains in the end, man. The person you were, Ty Cobb's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. The guy was a piece of trash. Nobody liked him. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there, man. I'm just trying to think of someone else, like Pete Rose, man.
He's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame because he bet on baseball, which you can't do. It's illegal. I mean, you really can't bet on baseball, especially when you're, still a part of the game. That's a little iffy.
They do it in soccer all the time, man. Let Pete Rose get into the Hall of Fame.
And that's why soccer is a sorry state of affairs. That's why there's always match-fixing scandals in soccer, because it's an absolute joke of a game where people flip and flop all over the field, and referees sometimes call it and sometimes don't, seemingly at random, because soccer is fixed as fuck. Wrestling's real, soccer's fake. Soccer's the fakest sport out there. Give me a break about soccer. It's like, oh, he tripped him. Oh, it's fine. And then next game, he does the same thing. Red card, penalty shot. It's like, well, wait a second. What? There's no consistency in the rules of soccer. And people can be like, well, no, actually, Dave, there's bullshit. You know that I'm right, too. I've watched enough soccer to know. There's no consistency in any of this shit. It's completely random. There's so much up for interpretation. You could fix a soccer game so easily, and they do all the time. Come on. Right?
Bravo, Dave. I love when you get on a rant, man.
Am I wrong?
So am I wrong? So I don't look. When you see Neymar taking a dive, man, and he's rolling like 50 yards because someone touched his ankle.
So
not
fake.
even look. Listen, it's hard. Yeah, you know what? I was trying to talk with someone at work, and we were talking about sports and whatever. I'm like, man, in MMA, guys are still fighting with broken limbs, man. Talk about Jon Jones. I remember when he had a bone that was protruding out of his foot, and I think it was the Belfort fight, if I'm not mistaken.
Chael Sonnen.
Chael Sonnen, yeah. I mean, his bone was protruding out of his foot. Look, I talk a lot of trash sometimes against Jon Jones, but the guy will not end the fight because of a bone coming through his skin. That is crazy, man. You know, we've seen guys fighting like, you know, look, Rakic that lost his like kneecap. If his kneecap was still partially okay, he still would have been fighting. We saw that with Santos when he fought Jon Jones. He literally had no knees, and he kept fighting for 5 rounds. That is insane. You're right. You know, it's a different sport, man. Like, you know,
I like soccer. I think it's fun.
Soccer. I love soccer.
It's a good game.
But sometimes it's a bit too much, man. A butterfly hits your shoulder, and all of a sudden you're rolling, man. The name will roll.
Well, that's fine
yards.
and whatever, drawing the foul. I understand all of that, and that's fine with me. It's just the refereeing in soccer. Sometimes you go, well, that doesn't seem consistent whatsoever. There's so much like, well, the refs are going to not call that for some reason. They're pushing each other around. They're flipping and flopping. Sometimes they call the flop. Sometimes they don't. It's like, what? What is this?
But listen. But I'm going to give a shout out to you know, the Montreal FC or the former Impact.
No,
like
don't do that. I don't need that.
Come on,
I don't need that
Dave?
at all. Don't give a shout out. I'm going to give a shout that. No, I'm shouting you down. Don't give a shout out to some third-rate team. I don't care about that.
Whoa, take it easy there, man. I heard Messi is looking to buy like the Galaxy, man. I'm just saying.
Who cares? Messi's going to buy the Galaxy? I didn't know that the Galaxy was up for sale. What is he, Elon Musk buying the entire Galaxy? What's next, the universe? Elon Musk has bought the universe. Messi bought the Galaxy. What are we talking about here?
You know, don't talk shit, man. They might be listening to our show. I already sent enough messages to Musk to get us, like, you know, what we need. Cars, microphones, a couple of mil. Listen, man.
Free
that's
YSL.
The way it is. Listen.
That's all I got to say to you. Free YSL.
What the hell's that?
Don't worry about it.
What the hell's YSL,
I just
man?
like throwing shit out there that just confuses you, you know? Free Young Thug. Free YSL.
Huh?
Free Gunna.
What the hell's that? Gunner.
Gunna. Gunna.
Gunner Nelson.
Gunna. YSL.
Gun. I have no idea, dude. I don't know what language you're speaking, man.
Young Thug.
I know a lot of young thugs. What about them?
No, the man named Young
Most of
Thug.
them are in
Anyways, free him. He's in jail.
Free Johnny, man. What are you talking about?
What do you mean?
Talk some real shit. I've been doing so many podcasts. Like, if it's not MMA stuff, I've been listening to a lot of, like, you know, Johnny
Free
Depp stuff.
Johnny.
Now, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. Not free. Well, kind of. Listen, they were talking so much smack about, like, how a broken nose is and how it was bruising. I swear to God, I was listening to a really good, like,
I thought you were talking about
podcast.
Johnny North. Are you seriously talking about Johnny Depp?
Listen, no,
Johnny Depp's not going to
Johnny
jail. He's suing her for defamation because he's an abusive piece of shit.
No, he's not. Well, listen,
Fuck Johnny Depp.
Fuck
you,
Johnny
man.
Depp. Don't say that about Johnny. Don't
Johnny
mess around
Depp.
with, like,
I'll say it again.
Don't mess around with Captain Sparrow, man. Don't
Fuck
do that.
that guy.
Don't push that.
Fuck
no,
that
man.
pirate-headed fucking
what?
bitch.
How dare you, man?
He's an idiot.
That's where we disagree, man.
Yeah, well,
Listen.
in my world, if you hit back, you're the bad guy. I don't give a shit what she did to you. You don't hit back, you fucking idiot.
You never hit back.
He
never
hit back
once. And no, he did it. You
Yeah,
haven't
he
listened
did.
to I've been listening
Yeah,
to
he
2
did.
weeks straight.
No,
Yeah,
he
did.
hit her. He totally hit her, bro. You kidding me? Come on, man. You're buying into the internet bullshit. I'm telling you, this is an abused woman that is being abused by this man.
Listen, I'm telling you, Johnny's an abused man. He
You're
needs
wrong.
some. What I'm trying to get at, Dave, is he needs some Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. He needs some Tyson boxing. He might need some Tiger Muay Thai.
Yeah, he needs some
like
jiu-jitsu.
classes.
Yeah, come to the gym, Johnny. We'll treat you real nice. Fucking Johnny.
Take it easy, Dave. I think he's like, listen, man, I'm listening to it like nonstop.
I will not allow this.
You, man,
no.
I don't care, man. I am allowed to. I listened to over 3 weeks now of like this whole like
of what?
trouble.
Of what? Memes
Live.
and bullshit.
What memes? Are
Yeah.
you kidding? I've been listening to it like morning till night, man, straight.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you, man. I stay overnight listening to it over and over.
I don't understand what this fascination is. It's not just you. It's a lot of people online, for some reason, are against this woman who seems to be abused by this man, and he's now suing her and continuing to abuse her. This just seems awful. He seems like a bad person who's got real problems, and I have no sympathy for him.
Man, you know what you're talking about. You haven't been listening to it. You've been listening to little clips. I've been listening to the full thing, man. I've listened to every
I disagree.
I'm telling you, Dave. I'm telling you, I didn't believe it either, man. But now, every single person has said,
who?
He's never touched her. Everybody. Even her own freaking witnesses, man. Even including herself.
I don't think so.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm telling you, dude, man.
I saw a thing where one of her makeup artists was saying that she had to cover up bruises and stuff under her eyes.
Her makeup was a deposition that wasn't even on trial, and it was shown that it was absolutely false. When you see the pictures, dude, that's what I was trying to get at. They were talking about
the pictures.
Like,
it looked like she had bruises under her eyes.
Yeah, it's called cocaine, man, and overnight like binging.
Oh, my God. See?
Listen to that was a fact.
That's just nonsense.
Listen,
that's not real.
She was claiming in that picture, she was claiming that she got broken nose and 2 black eyes. And in those pictures, there's nothing close to swelling or a broken nose. I know what a broken nose is, man. I know what 2 black eyes are. And let me tell you, man, if someone inflicts that on you, 24 hours later, you're not cured. And that's what they were talking about. They should have had some like boxing or some Muay Thai like specialist to come in and say, man, there's no way in hell that a broken nose or a swelled nose or swollen cheeks. Listen, man, they don't. I'm telling you, man, it's completely bullshit.
Well, anyways, Angelo's right. Who cares about Johnny Depp? You brought it up, AJ. You said free Johnny. I thought we were talking about Johnny North, and then you start talking about Johnny Depp for some reason.
Did he win?
And I am firmly against everything that you're saying. I just want it to be clear, and I want it to go down in history that I will be on the right side of this, because down the road, everybody is going to wake up and realize, oh, shit, people were just really mean to that girl for no reason, and Johnny Depp is an abusive fuck.
Bro, you haven't been listening to nothing, man. But it's okay. I forgive you.
No, I think I'm just listening. I'm reading. See, you're listening to. I don't know who you're listening to.
I'm listening to it live, man. I'm listening to the trial live, dude.
I'm reading the quotes and I'm reading things and I'm seeing what I need to see. I've seen enough.
From the PR team.
All right.
Forget it, dude. Listen to it live.
The PR team.
I'll send you some.
Johnny Depp has got a PR team working online on memes like overtime. It's quite obvious. And it's working on you. It's like a Donald Trump effort from Johnny Depp. I bet you he used the same PR team because it seems to be working on the same people. The Trump people and the anti-Amber Heard people seem to be kind of in line. Similar people.
Justice for Johnny. That's all I said.
Trump 2024 too, right, AJ? Right? You're down with the whole thing.
Listen, man, Freddie's not here.
Is that Kermit or Pepe on your shirt? Huh? All right. Holly Holm. I mean, Kermit, we agree on Kermit. Kermit is the best. Look at this guy.
He is, man.
Oh, yeah.
Hi-oh. Listen, man.
The Rainbow Connection, AJ. Someday we'll find it.
Beautiful.
The Rainbow Connection. The lovers. The dreamers. And me. Holly Holm, Kelten Vieira is the main event. UFC Fight Night 55. Vegas 55. Holm versus Vieira. The 55th event in the UFC Apex. Holly Holm going into the Boxing Hall of Fame. 40 years old. Holly Holm.
Crazy, man.
14-5 as a pro. Has won 2 straight. Has not fought since October of 2020.
It's been a long time, man.
Yeah. I guess she's had injuries.
She had 2 fights that were scheduled, and both times she got injured. So that, like, you know, when you think about it, like, I'm like, no, Holly was supposed to fight. She actually fought not too long ago. No, it got canceled. No, but before, and she got canceled. And then you realize it's since 2020, man. We're in 2022. It's been a long time, man. It's ridiculous. Time flies, bud.
I think this is going to be a good comeback fight for her here against Kelten Vieira. Vieira, primarily a grappler. This is kind of a striker versus grappler type of fight. Holly is going to want to keep this fight on the outside, not clinch up with her. Vieira has got a black belt in jiu-jitsu, a black belt in judo, and, you know, she's dangerous. She's real dangerous. She can take you down, and she's dangerous on the ground. But I think Holly Holm has good enough takedown defense and definitely good enough striking to win this fight. I don't know if she finishes Vieira. I think Vieira is tough to finish, and Holly isn't usually a finisher. You know, she's been mostly a point fighter when she wins in the UFC, a couple knockouts here and there, Ronda Rousey, Bethe Correia, but the majority of her wins have come by decision, and I think that's where it's going to go here. I got Holly Holm boxing her way to a decision. 5 rounds, main event on Saturday night. I've got Holm by decision right now over at bet99.com. Holly Holm is the favorite, minus 240. Minus 240, Vieira plus 190, the underdog. The total to go over 4.5 rounds, minus 260, under plus 190. So odds makers think this one goes the distance. Going the distance, yes, 267. No, 175. And Holm by decision is the most likely outcome, minus 113, the favorite outcome. Holm by knockout plus 300. So the odds makers see it exactly the way I do. Holly Holm by decision. AJ?
You know what?
Do you think?
Like, at 40 years old, man, like you would say, I don't know, man. Vieira's only 30 years old. She's got all the grappling accolades that you can have. But the thing is that at 40 years old, man, she's in phenomenal shape. This one is like unbelievably gifted when it comes to like cardio and physique and strength and everything. Crazy that she's been off for 2 years. That's the only thing that gets me worried. But then again, when you look at her, man, she comes in and she comes to fight. You can't get a greater boxer than Holly Holm. Let's not forget, she knocked out Ronda Rousey. You know, that was Rousey's first career loss. Vieira has everything, but does she have the strength to take down Holly Holm? I don't think so. I mean, she could get her with some judo like sweep or something like that. It's possible, but to keep her down, I don't think she has what it takes. And the thing with Vieira is that she has a very weak gas tank, man. When she fights, man, she gasses out a lot. And you know Holly Holm, she gets better every round. So coming back after 2 years, I think she's well rested, which means that most of her injuries have recovered. She's going to come in here and dominate. And I agree with you. I don't think she's going to be able to end the fight on Vieira because she's so resilient. But I think she's going to outpoint her in every round. I think she's going to win by decision, and I'm going with that as well. I was a little bit nervous in the beginning. You know, last week I'm like, I don't know, man. Holly Holm is 40 years old. But, man, like after looking at everything, the stats and seeing her fights and looking at them through training camp, man, this is going to be hard for Holly to lose. If she loses this, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, that's it. It just seems like a solid pick here going with Holly Holm for the win. This seems like a good comeback fight for her after a little less than a couple years off, and this seems like a good fight for Holly. Vieira, a little younger for sure. I just, there's levels to the game, and I think Holly is still at a very high level. So Holly by decision. Co-main event, I don't think goes to a decision. I think maybe we see somebody go into sleep here. I'm really looking forward to this one. Michel Pereira taking on Santiago Ponzinibbio. 2 guys that like to throw hands at 170 pounds. This one's going to be wild. Michel Pereira is becoming one of my favorite fighters to watch in the UFC. I love this guy's fights. His fight against Andre Fiallo was just a war. Chaos Williams, Nico Price. I mean, this guy just goes for the gusto every time, comes forward. Michel Pereira is exciting, man. He's one of the most exciting guys in the UFC. Ponzinibbio is too. Ponzinibbio 35, Pereira 28. I think that's going to play a factor. I think there's a little less wear and tear on Pereira, and I think Pereira is going to pull this one off. I'm not sure if he knocks out Ponzinibbio. It might be tough to do in just 3 rounds, but it's possible. It's possible. I think I'm going to go with Pereira. He's definitely going to be on my parlay. I could see him scoring the knockout. This is going to be a fun fight. Michel Pereira, Santiago Ponzinibbio.
Man, you're right, man. One thing with Pereira, every time I see him fight, he reminds me of like the Tasmanian Devil. This guy is so wild, man, and crazy, and he's unpredictable. But he's toned it down a lot. like in the beginning, like of his career, like the UFC career. I mean, this guy was like flying off the octagon, like sideways kicks, flips. I mean, it was crazy. But that cost him. Now that he's toned it down, you know, he's a great fighter, but there's no way. When you look at his last 4 fights, he's won all of them, and generally by decision. And I'm pretty sure this is where it's going to go. It's going to go to a decision. I don't think Ponzinibbio is going to get knocked out. But if you look at his career, ever since he came, you know, his career almost ended at one point. He had a near career-ending health scare. I don't know what the heck it was about, but it was enough that he almost didn't come back to the UFC. It was a whole thing that he was completely out. He came back, and he hasn't looked the same. He got knocked out by Li Jiangling, you know, and that's what worries me, man. It's not the same Ponzinibbio prior to that health scare. We didn't find out what it was. I don't know if you know, Dave, but I still don't know what it was. But it was enough that his UFC career was almost over. Here he's coming against Pereira. Pereira's going to be like too much like high voltage for him. But he's resilient, Ponzinibbio. I think this is going to go to a decision as well. A win for Pereira.
Should be a great fight in the co-main event. Coming up on Saturday, some other fights here. We've got Duško Todorovic taking on Chidi Njokuani. That should be a fun one at middleweight. I know your boy Eric Anders taking on Park Jun-young. That should be a good one as well. Polyana Viana taking on Tabitha Ricci to round out the main card. Chase Hooper is going to be on the prelim card taking on Felipe
Mr.
Corrales. Mr. what?
Mr. Facebook.
Yeah, right. All right. So I think I'm ready here for my parlay. I got a parlay for you. You got a parlay for me, AJ?
I got a parlay, bud. I got a parlay.
You damn well better. All right. It's a simple parlay. The Team Dave parlay this weekend. We're gonna keep it real simple, real easy. I'm going with. Here we go. Holly Holm, minus 240 to get the win here. Michel Pereira in the co-main event over Ponzinibbio. And Polyana Viana, plus 110, the underdog, slight underdog against Tabitha Ricci. I think Viana's size and reach will play a factor here against the much shorter Ricci. I've got Viana getting the win, probably by decision here. That's a Team Dave parlay. 3 fights, keeping it simple. Holm, Pereira, Viana. $20 gets you $105.78 over at bet99.com. Use that promo code Ringside. It's a Team Dave 3-fight parlay. Holm, Pereira, and Viana. 20 gets you 105. That's not bad. That's not a bad parlay, AJ. I like it.
Not at all, man.
What do you got for me?
Man, you know what? I'm going to go with the roll tide. The reason why is that he's such a bigger guy, man. And there's no way, like, Jung Young Park is going to be able to keep Eric Anders down. So if I'm going to look at what's the dominant part of this, is the strength, the power, and it's impossible to keep Anders down on this fight. Even though he's 6-6 in the UFC, and you're looking at Park at a 3-2 record in the UFC, I don't think he has the strength to be able to keep Eric Anders down. I think Eric Anders is going to win this.
Plus 166, the underdog, Eric Anders. All right, you got Anders. Who else you got in your parlay?
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to go against you on the Polyana fight. I mean, this is a close one. This could go either or. And the thing is, if Polyana cannot keep Tabitha Ricci down, you know, they're very, very close. Maybe a better grappling game to even Viana. But I have a feeling, man, at 6-1, I think Ricci is going to probably take this one.
Okay. What else? It's a close fight. I could see it going the other way, but I think there's a lot of value in Viana and keeping it standing.
Yeah, man, and the next fight is going to be pretty interesting. Chidi, if you remember Chidi, he's the guy that knocked out our good friend Marc-Andre Barriault in 16 seconds. Yeah. That was like where Marc got like laid out, lights out. He became like a highlight, and he's fighting Dusko. Dusko is a better striker. There's no doubt about it. His grappling has improved, but man, can he beat out a guy like Chidi? Chidi has a powerful. Listen, if you can knock out MAB, man, like that, man, I'm gonna have to go with Chidi. Chidi's gonna be pretty impressive. This is a name. I even like the name as well. Chidi for the win.
Yeah,
and then
I think he's related to. I think he's. You remember? Was it Anthony Njokuani? He used to fight.
Yeah, really?
I think he's his brother. I think they're brothers.
Listen, man, with a 21-7 record, man.
He used to fight in the UFC. Fought in the UFC for a while, Anthony Njokuani. I don't think he fights anymore. Oh, no, he fought for Eagle FC, the Khabib promotion in January. Khabib. Yeah, I think this is his brother. I think Chidi is his brother.
Kind of looks like him, man, so it's very possible.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm going to give it to Chidi. Dusko 11-2. I mean, you know, he has the capability to knock out Chidi. But right now, man, with power, I got to give it to Chidi, regardless if they, on stats, is showing that Dusko is a better striker. So that's that. And then I'm going to go with Pereira. As we were talking, man, like Pereira, I think is going to get a decision win off of Ponzinibbio. And I really believe that Holly is going to end up winning this. 40 years old or not, it's going to be 15-5 after Saturday.
Ooh, the old five-fight parlay, main card parlay from AJ. You have more? Is that it?
No, that's it, bud. Yeah, wow. I don't want to go on the prelim. There's a few prelims where I'm like, maybe, you know. Parker Porter with the Almeida. I'm not going to Chase Hooper, man. You know, I had a lot of confidence in Chase Hooper, but I'm not going to put him on my parlay.
Yeah, that's a tough fight for Hooper, too. He's coming in as the underdog. Yeah. I'm not sure about that one. I could see him pulling it off, though.
Look, he's 10-2, you know, with one decision. Felipe Colares is 10-3. I mean, there's, you know, like when you look at the stats of wins to losses, they're very similar. But the thing with Chase is that, like, he impressed me so much when he came into the UFC, but, like, his last two losses, man, weren't so great.
So there's your parlay, AJ. Eric Anders plus 166.
Roll time.
Tabitha Ricci minus 137. Chidi Njokuani minus 240. Michel Pereira minus 129. Holly Holm minus 240. $20 plus 15.45 gets you $329.86. $20 gets you over $300 with the 5-fight parlay from Team AJ. I hope it comes through for you, AJ. I really do. I hope you put money on it, and I hope you buy yourself a headset for next week's show.
Listen, my headset was working perfectly fine this whole time. You know, I'm just saying, maybe it's coming from your side, bud. I'm just saying. Listen, I'm no expert, man.
Whose baby's crying? Like, is that mine or yours?
Like, how many kids do you think I have, man? You think AJ is like
That's mine.
Like Eddie Murphy?
I don't know. I heard a baby crying. I was like, is that me or is that you? Where's that coming from? So many babies all over the place. All right, we're out of here. I'm out of here. I'll be back tomorrow night with Johnny North right after SmackDown. We're going to talk professional wrestling. Sasha Banks, Naomi, and Stephanie McMahon all walked out of the WWE this week. So it's been a pretty wild time. Stephanie is stepping away from the WWE. What does that mean? Are they about to be sold? Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out just as Raw was getting on the air. Just a crazy week in World Wrestling Entertainment. A pretty decent episode of Dynamite last night as well. There's a lot to talk about tomorrow night on Wrestling Uncensored. We're going to have a lot of pro wrestling chat tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern time right here on the Ringside Report Network. AJ, your mic sucks. We got to get you a better mic.
I knew I should have went to the Rogan show when they called me.
Do you hear that?
What is that? Oh, it's a little baby.
You hear the baby, right? You can hear the baby.
That's so cute. That baby is so cute, man.
I got a new thing. You weren't able to hear outside the room before. All right. We got to adjust some things. Okay. Join.ringsidereport.net is what you got to do if you have not already become a member. Join.ringsidereport.net. Thank you to everybody for supporting the channel. Thank you to Grimskull. You are the Super Chat leader, I do believe. Yes, Grimskull is the Super Chat leader. Harold Schneider, thank you for the Super Chat as well. Patrick C. Hamilton, thank you. Thank you to all the Super Chatters tonight. Grimskull, Patrick, and Harold. And there's Angelo dropping a Super Chat. 1285 puts him on top. He is now the Super Chat leader. There he is. He says, great show, guys. Have a great weekend. His mic works. Apparently, your mic does work. Some people are saying your mic sucks, and then other people are saying your mic works. I don't really know.
It's probably because I'm wearing the Yankees hat.
It doesn't sound
as bad as the Yankees today.
I mean, the Yankees lost today, but they're still like the best team in the American
League.
They're
number one, man. They're number one. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, they're the best team in the American League. They did lose to the Orioles today, but they won yesterday and the day before against the Orioles, so big deal. You can't win them all, but
Dave,
the Yankees are killing it.
Dave, Just to let you know, man, I got Noah into baseball.
All right. Good. Yankees, though. Yankees is really what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless the Expos
Thank you,
come
everybody.
back.
Thank you, Angelo. You're the Super Chat leader of the night. Thank you, everybody. Patrick says your mic sucks, AJ. Angelo says it's okay. I don't know what to think. I'm going to go watch the show now and hear how it all sounded, I guess. I got to do a
listen,
full
another
investigation.
thing, by the way, whoa. Before
What?
you cut off there, Dave, just remind everybody that we have timestamps on our show now. So if you don't want to listen to all this talk of, like, you know, sometimes good stuff, sometimes stuff that suck, you know, and whatever, you can go to our timestamp. You could get, like, all the shows just by a click.
Timestamp. Thank you.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.